My wife, Natalie, sent me a text one quiet Tuesday afternoon. Business conference extended. Be home next week. No smiley faces, no follow-up, just that. At first, I didn't think much of it. Her job in marketing often took her on long trips. But something about that message seemed too deliberate, too carefully worded, as if she had written it with caution, not carelessness. Still, I chose to give her the benefit of the doubt. I replied, "All right, hope everything goes smoothly." No suspicion, just a small, uneasy curiosity. That evening, I made dinner alone, the house unusually still. I tried to convince myself that trust was enough, that silence didn't always mean something was wrong. But trust is a fragile thing. It begins to whisper when the night grows quiet. The next morning, I noticed her tablet sitting on the desk. She never went anywhere without it. It was practically an extension of her work life. I assumed it was a mistake. For 2 days, I ignored it. On the third, temptation got the better of me. When I powered it on, the screen unlocked easily. No new password, no barrier. I opened her calendar, just to confirm the conference details. There was Seattle conference, Monday through Friday, but hidden beneath the event in a small link note, I saw something that didn't fit. Chalet booking, Green Lake Resort. I froze. Seattle doesn't host business events in mountain resorts. I didn't confront her right away. Instead, I called a friend, Ethan, who worked in logistics and owed me a favor. I asked him to check her flight details. A couple of hours later, he texted back. She didn't fly to Seattle. She's in Aspen. Aspen's snow lodges in romance, not PowerPoint slides and meetings. Oddly, I felt calm. That eerie kind of calm that always comes before the storm. I booked the next flight, out using my travel points. By the next afternoon, I was in Aspen. I rented a car, drove into town, and sat for hours in a cafe across from the resort. I watched couples laugh over coffee, their happiness almost painful to look at. As the sun began to set, I finally drove up the winding road to Green Lake Resort. It was beautiful, warm lights glowing from glass cabins surrounded by snow. At the reception desk, I told the clerk I had a surprise package for a guest, Mrs. Natalie Brooks. I said. She smiled politely, checked the system, and gave me the room number, 207. I stood outside that door for a moment, listening. There was laughter inside, a man's voice, low and relaxed, followed by hers. Soft, familiar, unguarded. My chest tightened, but I didn't break. I knocked once. The laughter stopped. The door opened a crack, and there she was, wearing the gray sweater I bought her last Christmas. Her face drained of color. Behind her stood a man in his 40s, holding a glass of wine, frozen mid-sip. "Conference going well?" I asked quietly. She stammered, "James? I can explain." "I'm sure you can," I said, pulling an envelope from my coat. "This is that extension you mentioned. It's called divorce papers. You can extend them as long as you'd like." The man tried to speak, but I held up a hand. "Don't bother. You don't owe me a thing." Then I looked at her. "But you owe yourself the truth. It's staring back at you in the mirror." Tears welled in her eyes. "James, please. I made a mistake. It wasn't supposed to happen." I shook my head. "You're right. It was supposed to be a conference. You just chose the wrong one." I turned and walked away, leaving her standing in silence. That night, I stayed in a cheap motel on the edge of town. No tears, no anger, just a heavy emptiness. Love, I realized, doesn't always end in explosions. Sometimes it dies quietly, strangled by deceit. When I got home 2 days later, I boxed up her belongings. I didn't throw them out. I just placed them neatly by the door, the same way she had left my trust. A week later, she came back, pleading. "James, please," I ended it. It meant nothing. I looked her in the eyes and said evenly, "So, did our marriage?" She broke down. I didn't. I had already buried what we had back in that Aspen hallway. 6 months had passed now. I moved into a smaller apartment, started painting again, and learned something I never fully understood before. Love doesn't die when someone cheats. It dies when the truth finally sets you free. And that Tuesday afternoon, When she said she'd be home next week, I knew she never really would, because she'd already left long before she packed her bags.